Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we move on to our second definition of the world that says the world a reflection of the everlasting world. From this definition, we see that if there is another world that is everlasting and we believe in that, then our world, by contrast, must be a transitory and impermanent or perishing world. From the first definition of the world that said the world is an exhibition or a display of God's magnificence, beauty, performance, and capabilities. We may have concluded that our world is the ultimately best place. And now from the second definition, we conclude that our world, with all its beauty and being a mirror of God's beauty and perfection, is, however, an impermanent world, and that there must be another world that is everlasting. That is already a major difference between this world and that world, and it draws the attention of the God seeker, of the one who delves into himself and wants to explore himself, that this world is filled with favors, privileges, and everything is beautified, everything is magnificent, everything is fully attractive. But at the same time, we ourselves have a limited lifespan, and so do everything else in the world, including this world itself, will have to perish one day. And by contrast, when we say the everlasting world, that's the world where we have an everlasting life, and the beauty and privileges of that world are everlasting and continuously increasing in quality and quantity. Also, we say that our world, with all its attractiveness, beauty, and best things around us, is a mere reflection of the other world. Let's talk about reflection. We know that the heat we have, the light we have on our earth comes from the sun, and we get a limited amount of heat here. For example, the heat goes up to, let's say, 40 degrees Celsius, and that comes from the sun located 150 million kilometers away from us. Therefore, the surface of the sun must be much, much hotter. As scientists say, it is about 7,000 degrees Celsius, and inside the sun is about millions of degrees Celsius. So a smart person will conclude that the heat we get from the sun on earth is not all that the sun has. The sun itself must be much, much hotter, and it is. By the same token, seeing the beauty in humans that attract us, that make us fall in love with them, tasting the delicious foods that make us work hard and do relentless effort to acquire them, smelling the fragrances in flowers and trying to create expensive perfumes, and similarly hearing the beautiful voices in music that decorate our lives. Similarly, many other, thousands of other good things in beauty reflected in our world remind us that if this all are a reflection from another world, then that world itself must be much, much more beautiful. Things much, much more tasty. Voices much, much more enjoyable to hear. Like fragrances in flowers and perfumes, hundreds of thousands of times more enjoyable. And by the same token, everything else. For example, we are given 20 to 30 years of good life on earth, that is the time we are young. This should tell us that God, who made us energetic and young and powerful with good physical body for limited number of years, that God, that capable creator, is capable of extending this youth, this good time of our life to billions of years, or make it everlasting. That is what the everlasting world is. Or we have seen that every human loves the season of spring or summer, and then when they are over, we are upset. This should tell to a God seeker, a person who perceives this world beyond its physical body, and through the study of Quran Kareem and other books of spiritual scholars, should derive this conclusion that God, who designed our world, our earth, to revolve around the sun and come to a location that faces the sun in such a way that we enjoy a most beautiful season of spring and summer, then that same God, same wise creator, is absolutely capable of creating better mechanisms to make those beautiful seasons everlasting. So, God seeker, the one who knows himself, he or she makes best use of our world, but in the meantime uses this world as a means to see the exhibition of God's beauty and perfection in the world. And by seeing every beautiful thing, enjoying every tasty thing, and so on, should connect this impermanent world with the permanent world, and should derive the conclusion that if this world is so perfect, is so enjoyable, so admirable, and everything in it is good and delicious, then when God talks about everlasting world, and he says that this world of ours is not even compared to a wing of a mosquito when you compare this world with upper world, then he should know that God must have and has created things of much, much better quality somewhere else, and that we call it the everlasting world. The challenge is that we do not see the everlasting world. All we see around us is this world that is called the impermanent world. So God made it a challenge to us that not even seeing it, but will you be able to draw the right conclusion, and by using this world, utilizing its things, will you be longing to get the better favors and privileges that God has elsewhere. So Allama Faizani, seeing this world with the eye of knowing God, or with the spiritual eye, and seeing other worlds through the telescope of Quran Kareem, and they with certainty of eye and certainty of knowledge know that there is a world beyond this world, and that is available to those who long for it, who desire for it, who do efforts in refining their hearts, cleansing their egos to become worthy of that world, will be given to them. He teaches us, He reminds us, and He takes our hand and wants to take us in that direction. So once again, our second definition is our world is a reflection of the everlasting world. That is like if you watch a movie and you see beautiful girls, handsome boys, and beautiful sceneries and beautiful events happening there, exciting events, you know that the people who are the players in that film, they themselves are much more interesting people than what you see on the screen of your TV or in movie theater. By the same token, our world is like a film that has been reflected on the screen of the world. So most of us, unfortunately, get stuck with what they see on the TV screen. But some of us go beyond the TV screen and desire to find those people, find those places, and ultimately God will help them and they succeed. Thank you very much for your time. See you tomorrow.